Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. This is Paul Catalina's Top 5 at 5:55, presented by Champion Salon and Barber. To book your appointment, go to ChampionSalonandBarber.com.
All right, these are my top 5 fixes to the Baseball Hall of Fame. They won't listen to any of this. But here's what I suggest. Number 5, have players presented in front of a committee like they do with the NFL, as opposed to just sending out pamphlets, is what they're doing now to 400 plus people. Have people actually have the debate.
So like have Jeff Passan nominate whoever. Because,
look, we have John McClain on all the time. We've had Shireen on, and we've had Rick Gosselin, and what they do is, but what they have to do is if you get Peyton Manning, you can go Peyton Manning and sit down.
Yep.
But if you get someone like Alan Faneca, who's a Hall of Famer, you do have to stand up and make the case why Alan Faneca is a better offensive lineman than maybe Carl Mecklenburg, who might be, or he's a defensive player, but you know what I'm saying, who's better for this class. So you have that. Steve Atwater versus John Lynch. How do you do those? Like, you have to have those debates. What's happening now is you just send them the people who are eligible, and they get to vote and they don't have to defend anything. They don't have to talk about it. As where you don't even get a chance. Like, if I'm big in the Scott Rowland camp, do I get a chance to try to convince somebody who's not in the Scott Rowland camp to come aboard?
I don't know how that works.
No, they just tell Twitter their thoughts on it, and that means absolutely nothing. No, I'm with you. I mean, John McClain has said that there are people who have gotten in the Hall of Fame after conversations, after arguments about why they should be in the Hall of Fame. And I can't cite anybody specifically, but I know next time we have him on, he'll give us plenty of examples of this guy was not going to get in, and Shireen or him or somebody else stood up and said why they should be in, and change people's minds because maybe they didn't realize something. But no, baseball wants to stay in its own little, same mom's basement basically, and just, know what they want to know and not know anything else because they've already made up their minds. And yeah, they should. There should have to be some accountability. Like, if you're going to have this powerful vote that's going to determine whether a guy goes into, enshrinement in the Baseball Hall of Fame, then I think that the nerdy little dude from the New York Post should have to sit there and explain, why are you not voting Roger Clemens in, or why are you not doing this? And if you say, look, it's because of the PED stuff, okay, well, then explain why you're voting David Ortiz in. And if you say, well, at least have the conversation.
Yeah, make them say something of hypocrisy.
Back up what you're talking about.
Like when I do the Heisman, and I'm fortunate, lucky as hell, man, I'm telling you, I grind on that. I talk with you guys about it.
But if you put your vote up here, and I said, why did you pick this guy over this guy? I'm making you explain it.
Absolutely. And I should be able to.
And you should be able to do that, as opposed to, I just don't like him, which is not a good enough reason to keep someone out of an award.
The problem is there's way too many to be able to do it. You can't have 400 presentations for, like, there's just too many. I think there's too many voters for one, but yeah, I mean, that would be the only problem I would see. Is it's not like the NFL committee. It's a little more cozy, and you have a couple people that might get up. Like, there's 400 plus people voting on this thing. It's a little more difficult to do.
At the beginning of the show, you asked me who, my most disliked player, or whatever it was, and it was Tim Tebow. But I'll tell you right now, or is Tim Tebow. Okay. It is Tim Tebow. But if we were on the College Football Hall of Fame committee, and granted, he's not going to have any resistance because he won the Heisman Trophy and a national title, and he was a great football player. I don't dislike him because of his football. But like, if I said I voted no against him, and somebody said, well, why would you vote no against him? Well, I'm like, well, I don't like him. Like, that's a terrible reason.
What did you say? It's personal.
It's a terrible reason.
Yeah.
It's look, and there's other things I can go into, but again, that's a terrible reason. Number 4, rotate the voters. And there's number 1 is going to be kind of tied into this, but if you rotate the voters, then you can maybe weed out some agendas. And like, look, everybody's going to have some kind of agenda, but you will weed out the ones that are the gigantic moralistic, this is what baseball is because I watched Field of Dreams, like kind of,
or maybe played
the natural, that's what it's supposed to be, and that's what I think baseball is. Well, even though that's not what it really is.
There's nothing wrong with everybody having different opinions, but you can't be hypocritical about your opinion.
But if you rotate it out, you can also, cut off people.
So is Buster only going to get rotated out?
Everybody should.
Okay, I mean, again, as long as everybody.
Yeah, everybody just rotate.
All right.
Again, you're 2 years on, 2 years off, or whatever. 1 year on, 3 years off. I don't care.
Okay.
Number 3, redefine your purpose. Because right now they're trying to make it like baseball Hall of Fame is like Catholic saints. You have to perform 3 miracles and all that stuff. It's hard to get in. You've got to change that. They're not sainthood. You're not sending priests all over the world to do research.
You know what it is? It's supposed to be where you one of the best players or the best player in the time in the era you played.
Yeah, because I don't like.
Period.
I don't like comparing eras. Isn't fair. Because
No,
there's just
but
different
in
things.
the era you played.
Exactly. So that's why, for example, they did it right when they got Jim Rice in. Jim Rice went in after all this time. The Veterans Committee put him in, and it's because they're like, look, this is the best left fielder when he played. Yeah. So what? There weren't that's the best one.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, eliminate the morality clause. Get rid of it. Football doesn't have it.
John McClain has said to us many times, they are told that doesn't matter. No matter what you think of a person and what they've done on the field, cocaine, murder, whatever, you're not supposed to take that into consideration, correct?
Yeah. And look, if it's a murderer, that kind of takes care of itself.
That usually means you get kicked out.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably going to take care of itself. But no, I mean, look, O.J. Simpson, they haven't pulled him out, even though he wasn't guilty, was not guilty in court. They haven't done that. And,
I like that we all know he did it, and we just all know that he just got found out guilty. But everybody knows he did it. Or his son.
Yeah.
Whichever.
Yeah. Number one, this is the biggest thing they have to do is reduce the number of voters. So if you reduce the number and say, look, you've got 400 people, it's going to be really hard to tell, the NFL has 59. To tell 360 of them that you're not doing it anymore.
This is like Board of Regents for certain universities.
But if you reduce the number and then rotate it, then you're really going to keep agendas out of it. It's going to have to be, if you do everything I said on this list, it's going to be based on merit. And you're not going to have a reason to keep guys like Bonds and Clemens out and Schilling.
Well, and it's not a birthright to have a Hall of Fame vote. So if some dude from Detroit has an issue with it, well, it's too bad. It's the rules. They rotate every 2 years. And I don't think necessarily should be automatic births into being Baseball Hall of Fame voters or lifelong memberships into being Baseball Hall of Fame voters because people change over time. But I do think that there's probably far too many voters when you got, whatever the total number is, I don't even know. I know it's several hundred people are all voting on this, and I don't believe you need that many people to figure out whether or not Barry Bonds is a Hall of Famer or not.
Yeah, I'm big on term limits across the board.
Yeah, me too.
So,
me too.
Again, applying that logic to here makes a lot of sense.
I agree. All right, Paul, good stuff. Very timely. A topic of right now. Let's see. Tonight, Iowa State plays at Oklahoma State. Tip off in an hour. Oklahoma at